Hey gang, Kevin there. Kevin here. Life22. And so today's episode is kind of unique for the channel. It's actually the creation of another playlist. I know I've got a series of playlists on there. Some of them don't have videos because I'm working on some content for them, or I'm too lazy to work on content for them, but I thought they were a good idea, so I kind of started creating framework. But this one is, we're going to call it the comment section, not that anybody... not that like that's an original name or nothing, but we've had what I'm not really so sure. So this first one, I figured I'd pick the first comment he left. I've been going back and forth with this guy in the comment section, and he's probably the longest running commenter on the channel. So I know he's interested in coming on the show, or she, or I guess I'm not too familiar. I guess there's no gender associated with the user tag. Essentially, it was created like the day before it started commenting on my channel. This particular user account. It's called Name Last, and I'm sure you can see it in the comment section below. And I've replied to most of Name Last's stuff, comments on here, and then some of them got pretty long and were pretty deep, and I just didn't have time to type something up. So I figured I would do like a series of videos replying to these comments, and if other people out there present comments that are long and well thought out and invoke like a response from me, then instead of me just doing a quick reply, I will engage. So the first one that he had, and now all of a sudden, oh, that's right, we were going to go with that one first. Okay, so this was one of the longer ones. Yes, I prepared myself. The first quotation you reference is an interesting one. Now, this is based on the review of the Once and Future King, and this is what also strikes me as odd because, you know, I've been trolled before, and so I'm not really. I was telling a friend today about it. Based on some of these comments, Name Last, I'm very excited to meet this individual. Maybe not in person. But it almost seems like a trolling account because it was created the same day that it commented on my channel. And so I don't know if it's a local person trying to troll me or if it's somebody far away that just happened to catch me. You know how the mob is sometimes. But then some of these like comments are like, is this like I'm right of center, right? Like I'm not I'm not an alt-right, I'm not too far right, but I'm not, you know what I mean? I conversate, so a lot of my things are right, so I am definitely on the right-hand side of things, but what happened was, like, I don't know if this person is right-wing and taking a devil's advocate to try to better me as a person, or I don't know if this person is left of center and is actually trying to engage in conversation that way, because it's not really, like, trying to make me feel like a piece of shit. You know, you go in the comment section sometimes and somebody makes you feel like garbage. A lot of these are very thought-provoking, and in my review, The Once and Future King, I don't think I mentioned there was a couple things in his or her comment that made me think that this person's pretty well-rounded, because I didn't reference this in my review, but they're referencing the book in a way that makes me think that they know the book, and it's classic literature, right? So it's very thought-provoking. So this person is very well-rounded. So it piqued my interest, right? So so let's see here. So based on that, the first quotation you reference is an interesting one. Merlin says, "It as the wart." Arthur is literally turning into a fish. Suddenly and surprisingly, Wart's worried about what will happen, and so wants Merlin, his new tutor, to come along and help him. Merlin agrees, but promises it will be the last time, saying education is experience, and the essence of experience is self-reliance. So he took my quote. Now, I don't know if he just Googled it and then found all the backup content, but I don't believe I may have referenced it, but man, but there's other instances of stuff going on like that. But Let me finish the next 2 paragraphs. So you interpret this as criticism of book learning. That's possible, but I think incorrect. Merlin's immediate point is that Wart will eventually have to go on these lessons alone, not yet, but eventually. Sorry, my screen's pretty far away, but it's better than reading my notes because the notes have a print-off that's pretty small. Let's see here. That's possible. Not yet, but eventually, it's just the type of message you tell a kid. You know, one day you'll be doing this all on your own, in quotes. Okay, so I had a response to that. I don't criticize book learning, per se. Some rely too much on it, but it brings good insight to parenting. To raise your kids, you can't do everything for them. You must build their experience with self-reliance, which is good lessons parents often forget. There is a balance, sure, but this is a double-edged lesson, right? So that's my response to those paragraphs, right? So a lot of parents forget, right? Like, and it's a small, short, simple saying like that is great to remind parents that they have to be simple, straightforward, direct, and be profound with their children. And that's kind of what I was getting at, and I think that simplicity sometimes is overlooked in its greatness. The next section here. If you assume that White, the author, knew his classical theory, and then in parentheses, and a man who went to Cambridge in the 1920s was definitely classically educated, close parentheses, so he did some research on White, then it's hard to imagine he wouldn't think carefully about grammar of the amorphisms his magical tutor would spout off. Education is experience is a simple equation. Education equals experience, and like the equation 2 + 2 = 4 by the symmetric property equals 4 equals 2 + 2. So education is experience, and experience is education. Let's see here. It doesn't sound so interesting, but we can probably take it a step further and treat Merlin's statement as a mathematically logical one. It is self-reliance. If self-reliance is essence of experience by the transitive property, it is also the essence of education. What the heck does that mean, though? For me, it suggests that Merlin is saying that to learn from education and to learn from experience requires self-reliance. While you see this as a statement about what counts as real education, I think it might be about what you need to get. What you need to get the full effect from either experience or education. Which is a good point. I'm not going to argue, right? This is that's why this first one I've been going back and forth a little bit with shorter comments and shorter responses up until this point, and that's what actually intrigued me to start these video responses, which I'm sure it's gonna lead itself to a whole bunch. But I know that Name Last would also like to be a guest on the show, and it's been a while since we've had a guest on the show, so I mean maybe Name Last can hang on to his responses to these and actually discuss them in person. But these are mine, so he or she can develop their homework. So yeah, my response to that was, yeah, simple, sure. But some of the most overlooked and profound things that describe this world are short and simple, right? Education, the essence of education is experience, right? It's one of the components. Now to get a little, in his last portion of this comment that I broke it down into 3, the last portion was, yeah. I guess think I just incorporated into the third. Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. It makes sense to me, too, that Merlin wouldn't condemn education. He's Wart's tutor and is called a tutor. Merlin doesn't abandon Wart to being a fish, but actually instructs him. The trouble with you is that you do not swim from the shoulders. You swim as if you were a boy bending at the hips. And that's a quote from the book. It sounds like a teacher or a parent who controls the situation in learning moments. If you're teaching your child to slice carrots, it's dangerous but controlled. If you're a chem teacher, experiments are dangerous but controlled. It's letting your teenager go out and asking for a phone call if they'll be home late. And I think we should also acknowledge that we're reading a novel. Surely someone who writes a novel thinks he can learn from them and not just from experience. But it seems especially so given that this isn't just a novel, but a novel in which Wart spends so much of his time being trained. I think Wart is Yoda saying, "Much training you must do." And he means all the running around in the mud and not the stuff Luke thinks is practical, like raising the X-Wing out of the mud. To be clear, I think White's Yoda, and I don't think White would be saying Merlin thinks experience is the only way to be educated. See, another good thought here, right? He realizes that I do enjoy Star Wars. I actually started out as a Trekkie, but there's a lot more, there's a lot more notoriety recently with the expansion of Star Wars, so you catch me kind of spending more time on that and references for that. But so obviously this person follows the show and realizes that and makes then takes it to that next step, right? Compares what I'm talking about with this book and relating it to Star Wars, which, see, this person started out, it seemed to me like they were trolling me, and now it's, see what I mean? Like, this is very engaging, right? And this is what I want from the comment section, folks. This is what it should be. So anyways, let's see here. To be clear, I don't think White would be saying Merlin thinks experience is the only way to be educated. So then the question for me seems to be, what does it mean that self-reliance is the essence of both controlled situations of education, aka book learning and the like, and experience? The answer I come up with relates to initiative. If you're assigned a paper in class, you can do the bare minimum, look at online sites, see what your friends are writing, or you can fall into it. Do your own self-directed reading, find your way in, and do your own research, and write something you're proud of. If you're learning about an event in history, you can go off and do all your own research. You can take a topic that's touched on and become an expert. All the best learning I did was when I felt like I was doing it for me. Even if I had good teachers to help out or mentors, no magical tutors though. Similarly, it seems when I really learn from doing, it's when I stop myself and make myself become attentive, consciously making it a learning experience. The opposite would be just going through the motions. The essence is self-reliance. It's on me to get the most out of this. Fair enough. Good point, right? So here's my response that I kind of formulated, right? True, but experience is education. And you experience book learning. Hence, books educate, but trial and error or experience are a better form or help expand the understanding of a topic that the base knowledge about the base knowledge obtained in a book. Then I wrote number 4, great point. Okay, so maybe I did have a... That should have just said 4 there. Okay, whoopsies. Haha. Oh, okay. So all but the last 2 paragraphs. Okay, yeah. So there's last 2 paragraphs, great point. And then, yeah. So, yeah, education, experience is education in that you're experiencing the book you're learning, right? And then, like I described the other day with Moby Dick, right? Like, I read the book, it didn't soak it in as much, it didn't catch my interest. Right? It didn't sink in. But did it? It may have, because I vividly remember being like obnoxiously annoyed by like listening to Crime and Punishment, but I stuck it out and I did the whole thing, and then all of a sudden how much I retained from that novel was surprising, because it didn't seem that interesting or profound when I was reading it, and now I can actually use it to relate to a lot of human nature that I see in people every day, which is very, very cool. So you do experience a book, right? And you educate yourself by experiencing, either listening to, reading, or whatever with a novel or a book. But that sets the base knowledge, right? That sets like a precursor, something that just a hash, right? And then you can, from there, trial and error, seeing how other people act, seeing and doing for yourself based on the base knowledge you've obtained from the book. So they're a better form of knowledge and help you, that trial and error, that experience for yourself. Self-reliance to be able to go out and experience what that base knowledge was talking about, or even seeing it, becoming, seeing it. That I think experience is education. There's a lot of ways to look at it, but that was my take on it. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there 20 minutes while I responded to his. I mean, it took me probably just as long to read his comment and to write those thoughts down. And hence, I wasn't going to try to spend like an hour typing back. I figured I could do that and spend the hour and put out some video content for you folks. So we'll catch you probably in just a few minutes, because I want to try to bang out 2 more of these. And I know he's replied to 2. This is from like 2 months ago. So I know he's got more in here, and I wanted to bang them out in separate videos so you guys could see the responses, and I could go to his comment section and link the video to respond to this individual. So thanks for joining us in the comment section, folks. Like, subscribe, and see you next time.